One of the deadliest earthquakes in the last 2 decades struck Turkey and Syria, killing over 16,000 people, and about 380,000 people have taken refuge in government shelters, and at least 40,000 people have been injured in Turkey. The shocks were so powerful that they extended all the way to Greenland. For you to get an idea, the energy released from the Hiroshima nuclear bomb was equal to an earthquake of 6.0 magnitude, and in Turkey, 11 minutes after the initial quake, the region was hit by a 6.7 magnitude aftershock. A 7.5 magnitude quake came hours later, followed by another 6.0 spasm in the afternoon. The epicenter of the earthquake was about 33 kilometers away from a city called Gaziantep, and was 18 kilometers deep where the earthquake originated. Heartbreaking photos show a father holding onto his 15-year-old daughter while her body remains trapped beneath the rubble.
This are the some before-after photos of earthquake affected. You can see the situation is fully changed. Sometime before it looked like something else, but now it's totally different.
Areas which are impacted. Mainly earthquake has impacted southern east part of Turkey and northwest part of Syria, after which Turkey declared a disaster zone in the 10 provinces affected by the earthquakes, imposing a state of emergency in the region for 3 months, and Disaster Management Agency said it had 11,342 reports of collapsed buildings, of which 5,775 had been confirmed. So people are taking shelters in train and stadiums. Turkey has deployed more than 24,400 search and rescue personnel to the quake area, and other countries are sending rescue teams too, cause people are still getting fined after 3 days.
Situation in Syria is more dangerous cause thousands of buildings collapsed in both countries, and aid agencies are particularly worried about northwest Syria, where more than 4 million people were already relying on humanitarian assistance, and freezing weather conditions are further endangering survivors and complicating rescue efforts, as more than 100 aftershocks have struck the region. The quake is said to be one of the strongest to hit the region in more than 100 years. Earthquakes damage on Turkey's economy. Turkey's growth rate was already not that special, and inflation was record high, meaning people were already using their savings, and now earthquake damage is also expected to hit production in the affected region, where 13.4 million people live, which accounts for 9.3% of Turkey's GDP. In an indication of the extent of the disruption, electricity use in Turkey dropped 11% on Monday, compared to a week earlier, and now thousands of buildings, including homes and hospitals, roads, pipelines, and other infrastructure, have sustained heavy damage in the area. That's why the country may spend 5.5% of its GDP on the crisis, according to Bloomberg Economics, and economic losses are estimated to reach tens of billions, cutting economic growth by 1 or 2 percentage points this year, officials and economists said, as the government faces huge rebuilding ahead of tight elections. But the world is showing that every country is standing with Syria and Turkey at this time. In Afghanistan, hundreds have also died in recent weeks due to the bitter cold and the economic crisis. However, according to Reuters, Afghanistan's Taliban administration will send around $165,000 in aid to Turkey and Syria. Netizens are also coming ahead, and over $9 million in crypto has been pledged to help Turkey and Syria after the devastating earthquake. Mexico. Mexico's famous rescue dogs are headed to Turkey. Mexico is famous for its highly trained and specialized search and rescue dogs. The canines are used frequently in Mexico, a country prone to earthquakes due to its location. India has dispatched NDIF teams with 100 personnel and specially trained canine squads to help Turkey with rescue efforts. And many organizations and countries like Ukraine, the United States of America, Israel, Russia, China, Germany, Poland, Italy, Spain, Greece, European Union, WHO, Belarus, and Middle Eastern countries, the United Kingdom, and a never-ending list. This all is important cause things we getting from there is devastating, like a baby girl has been reportedly rescued from the rubble of her home in northern Syria. Her umbilical cord was still attached to her mother when she was found, a relative told Agence France Presse. Her mother is believed to have died after giving birth. We heard a voice while we were digging. We cleared the dust and found the baby with the umbilical cord intact, so we cut it and my cousin took her to hospital. Like, share, subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks.